Hello friends, welcome to our YouTube channel. Now in today's class we will discuss about the Rayleigh criteria. Okay, so scientist Rayleigh, he gave the criteria for the resolution. Okay, so when we observe two objects from a certain distance, we will able to distinguish between them. But if we change our distance of, or if we get closer or away from that objects, we are hardly resolve them into two separate objects. So when it is said to be resolved, unresolved, or just resolved, for that only Rayleigh give the criteria. Okay, so for that there are three conditions: just resolved, unresolved, and the well resolved. Okay, so when we will say that the two objects they are well resolved, so first we'll see the condition for the just resolved. Okay, here, see here. So in the diagram I have shown that the just resolved means these two images, we have the central maxima, and then the means it is nothing but the diffraction pattern of the two waves. Okay, when an object said to be just resolved, see in this diagram, when central maxima of one wave, it is coincide with the first minima of the second wave, then the object is said to be just resolved. Okay, म्हणजे एका वेव्हचा मॅक्झिमा हा दुसऱ्या वेव्हच्या मिनिमा पर्यंत कॉन्साइड व्हायला पाहिजे आणि वाईस वर्सा सेकंड वेव्हचा मॅक्झिमा ह्याच्या मिनिमाला. इथे डायग्राम मध्ये ते क्लिअरली रिप्रेझेंट केलेलं आहे. ओके, सो हियर the two distances, these are exactly same, means if we represent one distance with y, the another distance it will be x, means the distance between two central maxima, if it is y, then distance between two central minima, it will first minima, it will be x. Then in such conditions y is always is equals to x. This is condition according to Rayleigh for the just resolved objects. Okay, now see the second condition, that when two objects are said to be unresolved. Unresolved means they are overlapping or they are colliding in between each other. Okay, so see here the ray diagram for rays that are intersect with each other or overlapping with each other. So that is unresolved. We cannot distinguish two different objects at different places. So here the condition is that the distance between two central maxima, it is represented here y, and distance between the central maxima and the central minima, first minima of one wave, it is x. Okay, distance between two central maximas y, and distance between central maxima to its first minima, it will be x. So the in this condition the y is always less than the x, means central maxima are closer than the maxima and minima distance. So these waves are intersect or overlap with each other, and we are getting here the unresolved images. Okay, now the third condition here, if the images or the two objects, distinct objects, are well resolved, so we can clearly get these separate images at separate points. So see, for this condition is that the similar cases, that distance between two central maxima, if we represent here y, and distance between central maxima and first minima if we represent with x, then here y is much greater than x. Central maxima चा distance हा maxima आणि minima च्या distance पेक्षा जास्त असणार. So here y is greater than x, so we will get here the well resolved images. Okay, so these are the three major conditions that Rayleigh gave, and this is nothing but the Rayleigh criteria. Okay, so here we discuss for the two cases, if the two objects, these are placed linearly. So in case of linear objects, the angular separation of the first principal minima, it is given as d theta is equals to lambda by a. हे आपण फ्रेसनेस डिफ्रॅक्शन सिंगल स्लिट ह्याच्यामध्ये डिराइव केलेलं आहे, दॅट अँग्युलर सेपरेशन इट विल बी डी थीटा इज इक्वल्स टू लॅम्बडा डिवायडेड बाय ए. सो हियर वी विल गेट दॅट कंडिशन. सो ॲज द मिनिमम coincides with the central maxima, it is the condition for the just resolved. Okay, minima coincides with the central maxima of the other these must be the minimum angular separation, okay, between the two waves or two objects. So when this condition will be there, the minimum separation, angular separation will be there, and this is called as a limit of resolution. So how we can find the limit of resolution? It is d theta is equals to lambda by a, means angular separation here it is represented as a limit of resolution. Okay. Now see here, the minimum separation between the two linear objects that are just resolved. हे just resolve ची condition होती मगाशीच बोलले मी. If minimum separation between for the just resolved condition at distance d from the instrument. So we are getting this just resolved condition, or we are observing this from the distance d. So we are getting here y is equals to d into d theta. It is d lambda by a, and here what is small y? It is the distance of the first minima from the center. So for this condition we will get the y. Okay, now observe the next slide here. For this we are considering the second condition for the Rayleigh criteria. So if objects are linear, then we have discussed, if pair of point objects will be there. Pair of point objects means what? In case of microscope, we'll see that the objects to be viewed are similar to the point objects. Okay, in the microscope, if we observe the various objects, two objects, these are observed to be point objects. So these diffraction pattern are made such as the central format, it is a disc. Okay, central it will be the disc surrounded by the concentric rings. So central part it will be just like a disc, and now the rings will be found around the disc, and these are called as Aries. Aries disc and Aries rings. हा जो सेंटरचा असणार आहे तो Aries disc असतो, आणि रिंग्स ना म्हणतात Aries rings. Okay, so this is shown here in the diagram also. See here the actual pattern of the Aries disc and Aries rings. The center part it is just like a disc, and it is surrounded by the rings, and it compulsory it will be a disc at the center and rings surrounded by this. This is the actual pattern, and by the diagram we can represent here as shown. Okay, so at the center we have shown a disc with a center dark point at the center by dark, and then the rings are surrounded by that. Okay, and how we can get this diffraction pattern? This slit is kept with the source. Okay, so these are two types of the resolutions that Rayleigh discussed. Now according to Rayleigh, for such objects to be just resolved, the first dark ring of the diffraction pattern of the first object should be formed at the center of the diffraction pattern of the second, and vice versa. Means first चा second मध्ये, second चा first मध्ये असायला पाहिजे. Or we can also say that the angular separation between the images on the screen is the radius of the first dark ring. That first dark ring has some radius, and this is nothing but the angular separation between two objects. So this is the criteria which is given by the Rayleigh, and these three conditions, just resolved, unresolved and well resolved, are considered to be Rayleigh criteria for the resolution. Okay, so hope you understand this concept of the Rayleigh criteria. If you have any doubt, please comment here, like our videos, share it, and